Lucid dreaming is when we become consciously aware within the dream state. So, for example, we're having a dream and we realize that it's a dream. So, essentially, we're kind of waking up within the dream. And when we can become lucid within the dream state, all sorts of incredible things can happen. Now, in the West, lucid dreaming has garnered quite a lot of attention in regards to psychology and, understanding the meaning that's apparently encoded within the dream, and New Age spiritual circles as well. A lot of people tend to practice lucid dreaming because it's a way of exercising the imagination, or because it's fun, or it's very liberating. It can enhance your creativity. It can be very confidence building. Lucid dreaming is all of these things, but really it's just so much more than all of these things combined, because it's really a way of engaging in the deepest exploration of ourselves, and it can really offer very, very genuine and profound healing on really every single dimension, and the physical, mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual planes. We can access deep healing in all of these areas, and when practiced properly and diligently and consistently, the way that it has been practiced in the East for many thousands of years, it really can be a very complete spiritual practice, and really the best possible preparation that we have for death. So in truth, our waking reality, our day-to-day life, is actually really quite dreamlike. It's not as fixed or as concrete as we believe it to be. It's impermanent, it's transient, everything is subject to change, so nothing really is as inherently solid as we believe it to be. But, even though that's the case, it's extremely difficult to perceive our day-to-day reality in this way. And it can be really challenging to transform our circumstances in waking life. Sometimes it can be really traumatic to do that. However, when we're in the dream state, if we can become lucidly aware, it's actually incredibly easy to transform our situation. We can change anything. Just anything and everything is up for grabs in the dream state. We can change the environment of the dream, we can change the story of the dream, we can change our own dream body, we can become a different person, we can become a different being altogether, we can become an animal. So absolutely anything can be changed with, the greatest of ease once we become lucidly aware. So it's actually a lot easier to transform our reality in dreams, but the experience of transformation that can occur is something that definitely can have a very lasting impact in waking life. And so there's very powerful healing that can take place within dreams as well. And, it's possible to heal very serious illness and disease and injury and pain and disability. And, ancient cultures like the very ancient Tibetan culture have actually got a lot of stories in their culture about this. I heard a story not so long ago about a man who couldn't walk, he couldn't really use his legs, he was in a lot of pain, he couldn't really bear any weight when he stood up, it was just, he was completely immobile, and through the practice of lucid dreaming, through consistent nightly practice, he would become consciously aware within the dream, and he would just begin to walk, and he would walk all night in his dream. And he did that for, quite a long time. He even began running in his dream. He was experiencing complete freedom of movement, complete absence of pain. And over the course of time, this actually manifested in his waking life. He actually became, or experienced, a genuine reduction in pain, and began to get up on his feet and walk around. And over time, he began to walk around perfectly normally, pain-free. So, there's a lot of stories like this in cultures that have practiced dream work for a very long time. And, beyond just physical healing, there's obviously the mental and emotional healing that can take place when we have repetitive thought forms that are really just acting as obstacles to our development, or we can have, emotional attachments to certain things or people, or, whatever, really. All of this stuff can be brought into attention in the dream state and essentially transformed. All these kind of negative emotions that we can feel, like anxiety and stress and fear, all can be transformed in the dream state. For example, I had a lucid dream a while ago where I was climbing up an enormous hill, and it was very kind of eerie, dramatic setting, and I was actually being chased. I had a kind of demonic figure chasing me from lower down the hill, but this being, this entity, was actually gaining on me very rapidly. It was going a lot faster than I was, and I could feel the acute stress and anxiety of knowing that I was going to be caught any moment. And I reached almost to the top of the hill, and I looked behind me, and this creature was literally so close to me, just about to grab hold of my ankles and pull me down. And at that very moment, the pronounced fear that I was experiencing, it was just outright terror. That sensation allowed me to become immediately lucid within the dream. I suddenly realized that, this is a dream. This isn't actually real. And when I realized that, immediately I began to float, and I floated up into the air. I was just levitating. And the higher I got, the better I felt. I looked down beneath me, and I could see this creature reaching up to try and grab me, but I was out of reach. And it was like snarling and roaring and clawing for me. And I just began to feel absolutely elated. I began to feel just so powerful. The realization of my own personal power and how I could affect the circumstances of that dream, and how I could actually change things to my own benefit and change them into a more preferable set of circumstances. So being able to change my reality like that within the dream felt absolutely amazing to me. I woke up shortly afterwards, and I really carried that self-confidence and that belief in myself and that sense of personal power. I carried that with me all throughout the day. So we can transform our reality and dream with a lot more ease, and it really can carry over into daily life, into our waking consciousness, especially if we're practicing this kind of dream work consistently. So we can also heal on an energetic level within the dream. Obviously, there's a lot of yogas and meditative practices that we could and really should employ in our waking existence, which really focus on all these areas, but it's actually a lot easier to experience very dramatic benefit and success on doing this kind of energy work within the dream state. So if we can become lucid in the dream, we can actually focus on the specific energy channels and meridians of the body, and on the chakras, and really deliberately and consciously open up all of these parts of our energetic anatomy and really feel what it's like to actually dilate all of these channels within us, and actually allow energy to circulate much more thoroughly with much less obscuration to the flow of energy. Now, it's been understood for a very, very long time that the dream experience is actually the closest experience that we have to the moment that follows death. Now, in the Tibetan tradition, the stage beyond death is considered an intermediate state between the ending of this life and whatever's coming next. And we can become very at the mercy of certain causes and conditions during that time. Whereas if we can spend this life actually preparing for death, then we can potentially navigate that time much more smoothly and much more effectively. And the dream state really is the closest state that we have in this life to the death, the inevitable death that awaits us all. So by focusing on the dream and actually becoming lucidly aware during the dream, we are preparing for that moment of death to be lucidly aware and actually conscious enough that we can, to some degree, direct our experience and have some measure of control over it. Because really, if we're not able to become consciously aware within the dream state every night when we go to sleep, then really there's no hope that we're going to become lucid during that intermediate state after death. And ultimately, the dream practice can be, if we practice it properly and we have proper guidance with our practice, it can be one of the most powerful and complete spiritual practices, because ultimately where we want to go and what we want to aim at is to become less and less concerned with the content of the dream, become less involved in the story and the characters and, the way we feel, become less concerned with all of that and work more with the origin of all of the dream experience. Where are all these images and stories from the dream arising from? Essentially, they're arising from the nature of our minds. And obviously, this is what, all meditation practices are aiming towards. It's aiming at us uncovering our true nature and actually realizing who and what we are in our fullest potential. So in the same way, when we meditate, we begin to connect with that part of ourselves that's beyond thought, it's beyond emotion, it's beyond the turbulence of the mind. It's actually the infinite spaciousness of the mind. It's the limitless openness of the mind. These are the mind's essential, pure qualities of openness and spaciousness. And obviously through meditation, we're cultivating our ability to recognize that and rest in that awareness. But in the dream state, it's the same. We can actually become more aware of the open spaciousness of our mind's innate quality and much less involved in the drama and the images and the story and the content of our dream. So in this way, it can become a very powerful spiritual practice that we can make very genuine progress down that path. So as we'll see in the video that I upload after this one, the dream practice is as much a practice of the day as it is of the night. We are actually cultivating mindful awareness and trying to connect with that limitless spaciousness and openness of the mind. We're actually trying to work with that during the waking state, during the day, in preparation for the nighttime practice, for the dream practice. And then obviously the dream practice is having a lasting impact on our waking life as well. So it's a very comprehensive, holistic and complete spiritual practice where we're really trying to identify with the nature of our mind, ideally consistently, just constantly resting in that state. So the next video that I'm going to upload is basically going to be how to engage in this practice, how to lucid dream. Once I've uploaded that video, I'm going to stick a link to it in the description box of this video. So thanks a lot for watching, take it easy, and I'll see you in the next video.